Assalamualaikum semua. So as promised, this is my recorded video for our class from on the 3rd of November. Okay. So the plan for today's recording will be on chapter number 2 as per your thesis uh, structure. Okay. So what is chapter 2? Okay. So chapter 2 is basically kita akan fokus on the literature review. Okay, so far what we have done in the last 4 weeks or so lah. Okay, so we're going through the how to write your one paragraph introduction. Okay, and then kita dah tengok okay, so we have looked at how to construct your intro basically. Okay, and then writing your one paragraph intro, and then the background, okay, background of the study. So that will be under the next item, okay, where you start from general to specific, you introduce the issue, okay, apa isu yang you are currently looking at, okay, from a broad perspective. And then you insert some statistics, relevant statistics. You cite, okay, kamu akan mention few key papers, yang latest papers as part of your background, okay, so that your background bukan semata-mata gorengan kosong lah, okay, not just empty or just writing without any academic references, okay. And then once you have done that, you go straight to problem statement. Okay, again, the structure is based on the 4 paragraph, 4 components that need to be included in your problem statement. Okay, the length is usually around 1 page or maximum 1.5 page long. And then you continue with your RQ and RO. Okay, so for RQ and RO, I already mentioned in our last week class. Okay, what do I expect you to have in your RQ and RO? Okay, of course, maybe at this stage you cannot finalize what are your research questions. Okay, because you have not finalized what will be the 3 independent variables and what will be your main dependent variable. Okay, because once you know those 4, okay, the 3 IVs and the 1 DV, then you can construct your RQ lah, okay, and then of course your RO. Okay, RQ dalam bentuk soalan, whereas the RO will be the same context dalam bentuk ayat penyata. Okay, so and then the rest of the component in under chapter 1, okay, you just follow lah some other the thesis that I put in your Google Drive or from your seniors punya assignment. Okay, ni just tengoklah what will be you think the contribution ataupun the significance of your study, okay, and then the scope of your study focusing on UUM student. Okay, organization is nothing much, just we want to mention, okay, what will be the rest of your thesis, I mean the structure of the rest of the thesis. So that what we have done over the last 4 weeks. Okay, so it's time that kita kena masuk on the next chapter in the next part in your thesis will be under literature review. Okay, so in the book, our main book, okay, so there is one slide, okay, ataupun one PowerPoint slides that focus on the literature review. Okay, so what is literature review and what it is, why it is orang kata compulsory, okay, chapter in your 5 chapters thesis. Okay, dalam when you want to write your 5 chapters, the intro, literature review, okay, the method, and then the analysis and the conclusion. Okay, so usually in most thesis, okay, thesis yang ada 5 bab, okay, chapter 2 is dedicated for literature review. Okay, so what is the main purpose of literature review and what are the breakdown, apa komponen yang wajib ada dalam literature review. Okay, of course, okay, I've given you a number of theses in the Google Drive, okay, in the OL that you can go through. I think I mentioned many times, okay, despite those theses are already in the library, tapi bukan semua, I mean the format actually follow what we want to do, okay, ataupun the structure of the ideal, okay, chapter number 2. So I've selected, I think, 2 ataupun 2 theses from the Google Drive. and 1 from the your senior, which are, so all these are in your OL, okay, the two, number 56 and number 2 thesis, and copy edit is basically from your senior 2 semester ago. Okay, and these two thesis, number 2 and number 56, are based, I mean, basically it has very similar structure to what I want you guys to do, okay, this for this project. Okay, and kalau you all buka kebanyakan buku-buku research method pun, okay, the ideal breakdown, okay, or components that you need to have in your literature review will be, you will start with the theory, the theoretical section. Okay, you discuss what are the theories related to the issue or the objective of your study, and then you follow by the next part, the second half of the literature review chapter will be under empirical review, meaning that you are doing summary ataupun review of related paper, journal papers, okay, kajian-kajian yang lepas. Okay. Usually when you say past studies, the focus will be on journals, okay, academic journals, whereby you can find most of the journals in the Google Scholar lah. So that will be the main source, okay, where you can find these journals, okay. So we will go through that maybe in the next class. So for today's first part of the video, okay, I want to focus on this literature review slides from the main book. Okay, so basically the focus is to understand the concept. Okay, what is literature review, and then the sources. Okay, where you can find the the materials. Okay, and then dalam bentuk, how do you cite the paper in the text? Okay, because I think when you go through some of these theses, okay, for example, any thesis or any journal papers for that matter. Okay, for example, let me open my own research papers or my own journal papers. I've selected few. Okay, so okay, so these were published a few years ago. So when you go through any journal papers, okay, you will find that, okay, different ways ataupun different style of citing. Okay, the word citing, C-I-T-I lah, C-I-T-E, cite. Okay, or citing papers. Okay, sama dalam bentuk in bracket. Okay, for example, you mention the author's name and then followed by the year the paper was published. Okay, or you put dalam bentuk ayat macam ni. Okay, so there are different ways depending on the style of writing. So when I say cite papers, okay, especially in the background of your chapter number 1, okay, after your introduction, you start with your background of the study. So when I mentioned that you need to include, okay, or you need to cite at least 3, okay, at least inilah 3 paper yang terkini, latest papers published this year or last year, paling lama pun maybe 2 years or 3 years ago. Okay, to be included or integrated as part of your background. Your dalam journal dia tak ada, usually we just start with intro. The intro is basically the combination of intro and background lah. Okay, because in journal papers it is very short. Okay, 15 muka surat, 20 pages long, so it is not as long as thesis, okay, publication. So when the publication is not really that long, so we don't divide according to intro and also according to background. Okay, so there are many different, I mean, there are few styles that you need to be aware. For example, this one, at the end of the sentence, this is the author's name or the, okay, so these are different ways that you will go through, okay, and you need to learn what are the proper techniques, okay. Bila kita, when you find 1 or 2 papers, journal papers that you find relevant to your tajuk, okay, the topic of your study, okay, so you want to include them or you want to integrate them as part of your background, okay, of the study. And of course, you will in chapter number 2, okay, di dalam kamu punya chapter number 2, okay, you need to refer or you need to cite quite a number of papers, okay, because your chapter number 1, 2 and 3, okay, ingat lagi, you have group project or group work, chapter 1, 2 and 3. Okay, these are group based on group punya contribution. So when you work in group, okay, a member at least 4 ke 5 orang writing, contribute in term of your energy, your effort. So when it comes to chapter number 2, okay, how many papers need to be included as part of your how many papers need to be included in the literature review? Okay, so kurang-kurangnya 30 ke 40 lah. The more the better. Okay, because if one member get around 8 to 10 articles, kamu ada 5 orang. So if you multiply by 8 to 10 articles per person, easily you can shoot up to 40 papers. So dalam bahagian literature review, okay, so when you combine every members, setiap member of your group, every group member, okay, the relevant articles yang boleh kamu kaitkan dengan isu that you are currently discussing. So that will be the that will be the part that you want to include in your empirical review. Okay, so based on this slide here, okay, then understand the concept of literature review. Where do you need to get the sources? Of course, now with the help of AI, okay, ChatGPT and the rest, okay, you can use AI also to find journal articles. Okay, so of course the main source of this journal mencari journal article will be from Google Scholar. So this is the traditional way of finding articles. Okay, manually you search by keyword. Okay, and from one article you can find more articles one after another. But of course you can also rely on AI, okay, ChatGPT for example. Okay, you need to use the proper tools dalam ChatGPT. But there are also limitations lah. Okay, limitations to the AI punya search engine because it cannot access all journal papers yang di dalam Google Scholar. So I think maybe on this next Wednesday, we will go through this AI punya tools and also Google Scholar. So how do you find research articles from Google Scholar and also from the AI? Okay, we see how much we can explore, okay, within our limited time, because the rest will be up to you lah. You all yang kena explore benda macam ni. Okay, and then also ethics, okay, in literature review. So this got to do with plagiarism. Okay, so now we're turning in the upgrade the technique to detect plagiarism, not just the conventional plagiarism, but also detecting through AI punya generated text. So you need to be careful lah. That's why I've been reminding you from the early part of the semester. You can ask GPT for assistance, okay, to come up with the idea how to craft your intro, your background, or the rest, or whichever part in your thesis. But of course, you need to bear in mind, you cannot take directly whatever from GPT, because when I run in my own turning in, okay, your group project, if I find that the turning in is more than how many percent, I saya letak 30%. Okay, so that will trigger the so that indicates that you are over relying on AI. Okay, so marks will be detected sama ada rejected, okay, ataupun tolak lah dengan banyak, because it's not your own effort, okay, to do the writing. So if you imagine if you were to start your degree 2-3 years ago, okay, without this AI thing, so tak ada GPT, tak ada apa, so you need to write the conventional way lah. Okay, so that will be the okay, yeah. So if I go through these slides quickly, okay, I don't want to go through this slide one by one because it's not everything in the slide that saya akan cover. Okay, so you can read from the main book, okay, original book, and see what are being discussed there. Okay, so at the end of the day, okay, why do we need critical literature review? And the word critical here, of course, when you go further up in your education level about masters, and maybe one day you want to do PhD, okay. So the word literature review, it must always come with the word critical. Maknanya you must read the article, not just reading the article, but you need to be critical in the article that you read, especially those yang very closely related to your subject ataupun to your topic of your research. Okay, so you want to read the article not just to know apa yang orang lain dah pernah bincang, what are the main findings, okay, but if you find maybe around some articles that you are really using the article as your comparison. Okay, kamu nak compare or you want to use that article as your main source lah. So when you read these articles, you want to be critical, because when you are doing a research, the main purpose is you want to come up with something new. Okay, especially at master or PhD level, even when you are reading journal papers di dalam Google Scholar tu. So any journal paper that is published, okay, especially in good publication lah, maknanya bukan jurnal-jurnal yang bogus journals, okay. So publish in reputable punya publishers, okay. So these journals, okay, every journal yang publish, okay, the author must justify, okay, what are the main contribution, okay, kenapa apa yang pentingnya dalam kajian tersebut. There must be at least one or two significant difference from that paper with the rest of the journals di luar sana. So the same goes with doing masters or PhD thesis. Okay, so you want that justification. Okay, apa yang kamu nak buat, tak ada orang yang buat benda yang exactly the same lah. And whatever that you plan to estimate, mesti ada some academic punya significance. Dia bukan suka-suka kamu nak run some data, suka-suka nak kutip some sample. Okay. So there must be some academic orang kata contribution lah. But at undergraduate for your project, okay, even when you go to for economic student, okay, when you reach your semester 7, your final year project, okay, again, okay, we don't really expect the student, okay, to do something very orang kata canggih lah. Okay. But as long as you know the process, you can justify, what is the main issue, and hopefully that ada benda yang menarik yang kamu nak cuba capai. Okay. And of course for this particular semester, the tajuk are all given by me, okay, because I want to make sure that every group boleh menggunakan pakai teori ekonomi. So using the topic that you have chosen, okay, based on the 4 tajuk tu, so you try to think lah, okay, as much as from the macroeconomic perspective, and of course now you can ask GPT for some contoh, okay, ataupun cadangan. Okay, from what angle you can actually investigate your assignment tu, your project, okay, dalam lingkungan or in the context of microeconomics punya perspective. Okay, so but in order for you to know what you plan to do, okay, apa yang kamu nak tanya dalam questionnaire, okay, apa yang orang dah buat dalam isu yang hampir sama, okay, that's why you need to start reading. You need to start reading published papers, journal papers, yang dalam Google Scholar and the rest, okay, mainly in Google Scholar, okay, because you want to know apa yang orang dah pernah buat so that you can get some idea. Okay. So for those who are doing e-hailing, those who are doing the food delivery services, okay, part-time job versus academic performance, and lastly on the consumption behavior. So there's plenty of articles, okay, related to each of these topics. It maybe not so much on Malaysia, but tak kisahlah negara mana sekalipun. Okay, for example, the consumption pattern tu, there's plenty of articles, okay, that discuss on consumption behavior, okay, among household. Tak kisahlah negara mana, okay, Malaysia pun ada banyak artikel-artikel on consumption behavior, okay, how much you spend on food, on education, on entertainment and the rest, okay, and how does your income actually affect your consumption pattern. Okay, and study like this are very common, okay, throughout the world lah, tak kisahlah negara Malaysia, negara membangun, developed countries, okay, and e-hailing, food delivery, these are orang kata now become our lifestyle, okay, especially since COVID, okay, because the reliant on this food delivery, e-hailing things getting lebih obvious, okay, bila kereta makin banyak or you want to cut cost of travelling and the rest, okay. And also on the last topic on part-time tu, okay, it's not anything, there's nothing new on part-time job during while studying, okay, we need topic yang conventional. Cuma you want to focus on the on the UUM or undergraduate punya perspective, okay. So again, I'm going through the Google Scholar. There's plenty of articles that you can refer to be included in your literature review. Okay, so pada itu Okay, so I mentioned how should a literature review lesson be placed in the entire write-up. Okay, so when you start writing, okay, so of course in chapter number 2, this is the dedicated chapter for you to letakkan sebanyak mungkin, okay, as many papers, okay, as I mentioned, maybe around 30 to 40 papers need to be included, okay, in your literature review, okay, especially under empirical review. Teori ni maybe tak banyak sangat paper, but under empirical review, this is where you want to show that you have done enough kata search lah. Okay, when you go through Google Scholar, you go through some AI punya apps, okay, you find relevant articles, okay, you do your summary of these articles based on the subtopic of the ni lah, topik-topik ataupun faktor-faktor yang kamu dah kenal pasti for you to use in your questionnaire, okay, and for you to construct your research question. You put together or you summarize them under ni lah, under subheadings, so that when you go through the chapter number 2, you can distinguish, okay, maknanya authors ni, okay, these are the authors yang membincangkan tentang faktor income, for example, faktor harga dan sebagainya lah, depending on what you decide to what are the factors that you want to include, okay, in your questionnaire later on. Okay, so of course for you to know this, okay, kamu kena baca dulu. When you go through 20-30 articles, kamu duduk, kamu dah baca, kamu discuss among your friends, okay, what are the similarities, apa isu-isu yang biasa timbul, okay, what are the commonly asked question, okay, di dalam artikel-artikel yang kamu baca ni. Okay, and from there you get some idea lah, and maybe you can use ChatGPT, okay, to assist you when you put the prompts, kamu masukkan benda-benda yang kamu dah jumpa dalam artikel-artikel tersebut. Okay, and that's where you start doing your ni lah to get a better understanding apa yang kamu sebenarnya, what are the factors related to the issue yang tajuk yang saya dah bagi pada you all lah. Okay, so dalam cuma I mean when it comes to writing your thesis, okay, of course just now I mentioned this one particular chapter is dedicated to kamu dah baca semua artikel-artikel yang relevan sama dalam bentuk teori ataupun empirical review. Okay, but apart from chapter number 2, okay, as I mentioned before lah, dalam chapter 1 pun, especially in the background, you need to cite, okay, kamu kena masukkan 2-3 paper yang terbaru. Okay, and this paper pun akan muncul juga dalam chapter number 2 juga. Maknanya dia muncul pertama kali dalam bab yang pertama, tetapi you need also to mention this paper again in chapter number 2. So where does the paper yang kamu masukkan dalam intro tu, dalam background tu, dekat mana duduk dia? Okay, because this will be part of your ni lah. So when you go through these papers, ada paper yang kamu jumpa yang terkini the last 2 or 3 years, published the last 2 or 3 years, you might find relevant to be included in the background, kamu masukkan. And again, when you want to do the overall punya review, okay, you can review the paper again, but in more detail lah. Dalam intro, dalam background might be lebih ringkas, okay, 1 ayat, 2 ayat saja. Okay, tetapi kalau untuk empirical review, you can afford to write more, maknanya maybe macam 1/3 punya apa, one short paragraph for one author ataupun for one paper lah. Okay, so I will show you some example lah dalam this thesis ataupun mana thesis yang saya pilih nanti. Okay, so and also throughout the thesis, not just chapter number 2. Okay, and you will mention these papers, some of these papers again when you do your analysis. So bila kita dah buat analisis, okay, you want to once you get your results, okay, sama result kamu signifikan ke, tak signifikan ke, positif ke, negatif ke. So one of the orang kata teknik dalam menulis chapter number 4, okay. So selain daripada kamu kata P value significant 1%, 5%, 10%, whatever lah, based on the statistical punya measurement, okay, you cannot just stop there, okay, because dalam chapter number 4, the writing must also be compared. Kamu punya result tu masih juga dibandingkan dengan the previous studies. Maknanya, how does your result compare to other people punya research, which basically based on chapter number 2 lah, under empirical review. So for example, faktor income dalam contoh ni, dalam this particular thesis. So when you go through your own analysis, kamu mungkin ada masukkan faktor income juga, and whether your income punya faktor tu dia positif ke, negatif ke, ataupun tak signifikan. Okay, so you need to mention sama ada kalau dia positif, then kamu katalah dapatan, our result is similar, okay, sama dengan kajian Mr. John, for example. John maknanya kamu dah mention dalam chapter number 2. So this is where you use your chapter number 2 to you repeat balik benda yang perlu tu. Okay, orang kata nak sebagai hujah lah, to justify that whatever that you are actually doing in chapter number 4, your results, bukan maknanya kamu dapat result yang pelik-pelik lah. Kalau maknanya in chapter number 2, we find that income is positive related dengan utility. So when you do your analysis, you expect that your variable income pun akan dapat positif jugalah. Okay. Kalau dapat positif, ni kamu katalah, okay, result ni sama dengan A, B, C. Okay. Author number A, author B, author C. And these authors A, B, and C ni, kamu dah kena sebut, you need to mention these papers earlier in chapter number 2. So then you can see lah the connection between chapter number 2, dia bukan duduk sorang-sorang saja dekat sini. But the main reason why you summarize these papers, because later on, you might want to mention some of the papers, bukan semua lah, beberapa selected papers yang kamu rasa boleh bantu untuk kamu so that you can compare, okay, or to justify that your results are similar, okay, ataupun comparable, ataupun mungkin bertentangan ke. Bertentangan tu kamu kena justify lah kenapa dia tak sama. Let's say lah from past tadi kamu dapat negatif, tiba-tiba kamu dapat positif in your own analysis. So that will be a more kata tricky lah, kamu kena cari punca kenapa dia ni positif ke. So but I think at your level you should get result yang sama lah, ataupun paling teruk pun mungkin tak signifikan, tapi bukannya contradict dengan kajian-kajian yang lepas. Okay, so that is where you want to use your literature review. So to answer this one, dekat mana patutnya duduk ni, okay, where should it be placed, dekat mana patutnya ada literature review. So of course the main chapter will be chapter number 2, but not just chapter 2 alone. Okay, some you will appear in background, you will mention 2 or 3 papers, okay, and you will mention the papers again in chapter number 2, especially under empirical review. And then when you start doing your analysis, when you do the interpretation of your t-test, ANOVA, your regression, so once you interpret the statistical punya results, okay, after that you want to mention lah, okay, kamu nak tulis dalam 1-2 ayat yang ringkas, sama ada your findings, is it supported by, adakah dia disokong oleh kajian-kajian yang lepas yang kamu dah buat rumusan di dalam chapter number 2 before. Okay, so that is the main purpose of literature. I mean, one of the reason why you have literature review is so that you know apa yang orang dah buat dekat luar sana. Okay, and then when you do your own analysis, how does your analysis jika dibandingkan dengan kajian-kajian lepas? Okay, whether your results sama ataupun bertentangan, contradict. Okay, usually you want yang sama lah. Sebab kalau bertentangan ni, pening kamu nak cuba justify. Okay, something wrong with your data ke. Okay, usually you want your result to be consistent, sama dengan yang lepas-lepas punya kajian. Okay, especially if your tajuk ni tajuk yang very common. Bukan tajuk yang orang tak pernah buat sebelum ni, you are the first one in the world nak buat, itu lain lah. Okay, but if you are just doing something very similar, cuma tukar tempat, tukar negara, tukar negeri, tukar skop. Okay, kajian lepas buat dekat UKM, kamu buat dekat UUM. So you're not basically doing anything much different, just tukar sampel kajian saja. So when you are doing something like your all the 4 topics that I gave you, these are very common punya topics. Okay, so when you read the papers in Google Scholar, okay, so you expect your findings to be more or less the same lah. Kalau positif, positif. Kalau negatif, negatif. Macam tu. Okay. So when you read a journal article, okay, dia mestilah mana-mana journal article yang kamu baca. Okay, for example, my own paper lah, dia ada intro, okay, dia ada, jadi when you read any journal article, dia mesti ada abstract, okay. So it's common that when you read any journal article, you will start with an abstract, okay. Dia mesti ada abstract, tajuk lah. Lepas tu, this abstract is basically summary of the apa yang author tu nak buat, yang dia dah plan, yang dia buat, what are the main findings. Okay, so usually kalau saya nak baca paper pun, okay, any papers that I want to read, okay, so you can get a quick overview apa yang dia nak cuba buat, method apa yang dia pakai, sampel kajian daripada tahun berapa ke, and what are the main findings. Okay, for example, this is my own paper lah. Okay, so for example, paper ni melihat tentang kesan COVID-19, okay, on the, ini term-term ni kamu tak perlu tahulah, but basically this first sentence ni ialah fokus kajian. Okay, and then dia buat dekat mana ataupun fokus sampel ni ialah negara-negara ASEAN plus 3. So ini pula teknik dia, okay, teknik yang saya pakai ni, Diebold-Yilmaz method, okay, from what year to what year. Okay, ini pula dia punya main findings lah. Okay, we show that blah blah, we find evidence blah 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 blah. So ini semua ialah the main findings. So dalam satu abstract, okay, you got to know what is the main objective, apa objektif kajian, pakai method apa, sampel dia bermula pada mana ke mana. Okay, and then juga yang paling penting dia punya main findings lah. What are the main findings from the paper? Okay, for example, like this one also, we investigate the influence of, so ini ialah objektif kajian. Okay, betul tahun berapa ke apa ke. Ini ialah dia punya main findings dia. Okay, so ini ialah method kajian dia. So dia punya style lebih kurang sama lah. Okay, regardless of what orang kata apa. Okay, for example, this one. Okay, samalah. Ini fokus kajian, ini method dia, ini sampel from what year to what year. Ini ialah dia punya main results. Okay, so when you read any journal article dalam Google Scholar, okay, so this is the first thing that you want to check, of course lah, the tajuk, whether the tajuk is somewhat similar ataupun ada kaitan dengan your issue. Okay, and you want to get a quick idea what the article is about. Okay, you read the abstract first. Okay, dan kalau kamu rasa abstract tu nampak ada kaitan, yang kamu simpan lah, you download the article. Okay, so this is where you can, orang kata, you get a quick idea what the paper is about. Okay, and also tang mana kamu nak tahu what the paper is about. Okay, in some journals, okay, bukan ke semua lah, tapi dalam jurnal termasuk my own papers, okay, bila saya tulis paper journal, it's very common that towards the end of the dalam introduction tu ataupun dalam background tu, before the bahagian background tu berakhir, you will find also a summary of apa yang paper tu nak buat. Okay, let me show you lah. Okay, for example, my own paper here. Okay, ini ialah kita punya intro kan, intro/background lah. Okay, as I said, dalam journal kita tak asingkan intro dengan background. Okay, so as mentioned in the slide, at the end of the intro, the author briefly provide the results, okay, as well as the conclusion. Okay, so nak tengok dekat mana dia punya main results gitu. Nampak ni. Our findings evidence that, ini saya punya main findings lah. Ini ialah saya punya kesimpulan ataupun apa yang saya jumpa dalam saya punya kajian. Okay. Dia bukanlah, ini macam dia punya, inilah, just before masuk ke bahagian structure of the paper. Basically, this is like the last part of the introduction. Okay, I put a summary of the main findings of my paper. Okay. For example, like this one also, dalam intro ni, sebelum kita masuk ke the last, okay, apa tu? Yes, nampak ni. Okay. Our result show that, ini saya punya kesimpulan. Basically, what are the key findings of my paper? Maknanya sebelum kita baca, kalau kita nak baca keseluruhan paper pun, okay, you can get, apart from the abstract, you can also get to know what the paper is about, okay, di dalam perenggan terakhir sebelum the second last paragraph lah, sebelum kita masuk tentang structure ni. Paper, the next part kita akan bincang teori, bla bla, method ke apa ke, tapi part ni kalau kamu tengok dia ada our result show that bla bla bla, apa dia punya main findings. Okay, so this is what this yang color kuning ni dimasukkan. At the end of the intro, the author briefly provide the results. Okay, so maknanya apart from the abstract, okay, because the abstract can be a bit short lah, kita nak summarize semua sekali. Okay, so but you can get something similar but maybe a bit longer punya version. What are the main results? dalam intro, okay, usually the last 1 or 2 paragraph sebelum intro tu berakhir. Okay. So itu ialah bukan ke semua jurnal, tapi kebanyakan jurnal, terutama jurnal-jurnal ekonomi, ini ialah common writing style. Okay. So this is what, so when you download papers dalam Google Scholar, okay, so beside the abstract, okay, you want to know what the paper is talking about, what are the main, apa dapatan kajian utama tu, you can go through the intro, di bahagian terakhir intro tu lah. Okay. So itu yang pertama. Okay, of course at your level, okay, I don't expect you guys to baca satu artikel tu dengan terlampau detail lah. Okay, don't spend sampai 1 jam baca satu artikel. Okay, but maybe when you pergi ke level yang lebih tinggi, master ke yang mandi PhD, lambat lagi lah. Okay, so the artikel yang kamu nak baca, yang kamu rasa ada kaitan dengan topik, of course you need to spend more time. Okay, kaji the article lebih detail. Tapi at your level, okay, memadai lah when you go through the articles. Okay, focus on the abstract, of course the tajuk, okay, and also you can pergi ke bahagian conclusion dia, bahagian kesimpulan. Okay, and just now I mentioned dalam intro pun dia ada juga bagi dia punya kesimpulan dia, what are the main findings. Okay, and then you decide lah sama ada kamu rasa nak pakai artikel tu pun ataupun tak. Okay, so this is, I think, is more like how you manage your resources. Okay, so when you go to Google Scholar, okay, you find articles yang, whatever articles lah that you think are relevant untuk apa, untuk kamu punya apa dia research. Okay, so if you find that your, for example lah, kita letak satu ni tadi, ni tajuk yang apa, household income and expenditure tu kan. Okay, so for example, you need to play around lah with the keywords. Okay, how you want to filter the last 5 years ke whatsoever. So whatever articles that you think yang ada link PDF ni, usually you can download directly lah. Okay, yang mungkin tak ada link PDF ni, kamu kena try and error. Okay, but usually yang ada siap-siap link ni, you can open directly the paper. Okay, for example like this one. Okay, so when you go through the paper, okay, and peringkat awal ni, you just want to download as many as possible. Kamu tak payah nak spend time baca lagi. Just keep on downloading, kamu download macam-macam. Okay, keep on downloading as many papers yang kamu rasa ada some relation or direct relation to your tajuk. Okay, and put in one folder, and then you go through these papers again, and then you need to asingkan lah. Okay, you need to rename the paper by the, ada macam-macam cara lah kamu nak bagi, kamu nak namakan by the author's name ke, for example, like this one, when you open like this paper, for example. Okay, so when you get to see the author's name, nama depan dia Nick Hashim. Okay, Nick Hashim dan lain-lain lah. So, and then tahun berapa ke, so how you want to rename the file is up to you. Okay, ada macam-macam cara. Okay, kalau saya, usually kita akan letak nama author tu. Okay, nama author, for example, like just now, Nick Hashim. Okay, and then maybe dash some keyword lah, some keyword to indicate what the paper tajuk paper tu buat dekat mana ke, the focus maybe dekat macam dalam case ni, dekat Kuala Terengganu ke, whatever. So when you buka kamu punya folder tu, okay, you can get some idea. Okay, kalau file number 1, nama author Nick Hashim, okay, the article is on what, okay, whatever lah, Terengganu ke, whatever keyword that you want to. Don't just put number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay, put some keywords that will help you later when you want to go through, nak cari balik artikel-artikel yang ada kaitan. So you want, at this stage, you want to download as many papers as possible. Okay, and as I mentioned, because this is a group project, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. So when you want to write your literature review, when you want to find articles related to your project, okay, you want to download as many as possible first, and then you start baca lah. Okay, spend some time, jangan kalut-kalut, baca dengan kadar yang tidak berapa slow tapi tidak berapa laju. Okay, and if you find that ada kaitan dengan isu yang kita cuba nak bincang, then you simpan lah. Mana yang kamu rasa not really related, you KIV first, put in a separate folder. Jangan buang dulu, simpan dulu. Maybe you want to use the article later. Okay, in your ni lah, dalam kamu buat assignment tu. Okay, so that will be how you start on kata downloading articles lah. Okay, of course ni tak ada apa ni. Okay, search engine ni pakai Google Scholar semua. Okay, so again, and when you go through Google Scholar, okay, the trick is using the keyword lah. Maybe I think on next Wednesday saya akan bincangkan, I will show some techniques lah, okay, based on my own experience and now with the help of AI and so forth. Okay, how to find articles di dalam Google Scholar. And also I think if you're familiar with this website Sci-Hub. Okay, Sci-Hub ni ialah dia website yang boleh dapatkan artikel-artikel yang mungkin kita tak langgan, our library tak langgan, our university do not subscribe to our library tak langgan lah sebab mahal ke apa ke. So you can use this website, okay, Sci-Hub ni to download this article. Dia macam actually dia macam illegal punya website, but what to do, sometimes we have no other option. Okay, to find the articles, kita rasa artikel tu ada kaitan, but our library do not subscribe to the journal sebab mahal dan sebagainya. So we can use, okay, macam Sci-Hub lah, okay, a very popular website among students, okay, nak dapatkan artikel. Okay, so that will be the where orang kata ni lah. Okay, and then of course this is try and error. Okay, try and you cari tambah 2-3 keyword yang kamu kena filter. I think at this stage your experience dalam menggunakan search engine tu kena ditingkatkan lah. You cannot just type 1-2 perkataan saja. Okay, as I mentioned, when you go through Google Scholar, okay, you can filter by date, okay, you can filter by range, okay, and you can play around with the keywords here. And sometimes letak macam open close bracket, okay, to make sure that the search, okay, must only retrieve artikel yang wajib ada keyword yang berkaitan. So I'm sure by now kamu dah tahu dah trik-trik macam tu. Okay. So that is on this strategy lah. Okay. And another part di dalam literature review is citation. Okay. So I mentioned just now there are different techniques. Okay. When you read journal articles, okay, ada few ways, okay, writing style. Kita nak cite nama author follow by the year dalam bracket, ataupun kita macam ni di hujung ayat kita letak nama author yang tutup dengan bracket. Okay, macam ni lah. Example like this one, Engel and Hamilton 1990 semicolon. Okay, so I will show you these different techniques ataupun different style of writing. Okay, because when you write your project, okay, your thesis, okay, one of the key things that I will look for dalam memberi markah tu is how you cite the paper dalam artikel. Maknanya how you mention the author's name. Tak boleh main bedal ikut suka hati saja. Dia mesti ikut kaedah yang betul. Okay, for example like this one, Aziz, Dahlan and Hakim, semicolon. So bila kamu nak pakai kaedah macam ni, bila kamu nak pakai kaedah yang you put Kilian, lepas tu dalam tahun tu saya dalam kurungan. Okay, like this one, the author's name including the year is in bracket. Okay, ataupun macam ni lah. So inilah 2-3 cara. Dia bergantung kepada how you want to write. Dia technique of writing. Dia bukan ada, that's why kita ada different style nak cite the article. When you want to put the author's name in your text, okay, so you must make sure lah that you cite properly. Okay, and nak cite pula nama siapa yang kamu nak kena cite. Okay, nama bapa dia ke, nama dia, nama depan dia ke, because when you read journal articles, okay, so you must make sure sama ada what is the first name of the author, apa dia punya surname, nama bapa dia. Okay, and you need to, usually the common technique is to cite the surname, nama bapa lah, dia punya bin ataupun binti bagi orang Malaysia lah, Melayu, and the surname lah, okay, nama bapa dia, okay, di dalam. So how to find that? Okay, of course lah, dalam Google Scholar memang dah ada siap lah benda ni. Kamu tak payah nak pening-pening dah. Okay, dia dah generate siap when you click on the cite button. So again, I think I will show you this di dalam kelas, okay, hands on, but for our recording purpose, okay, I will try go through lah beberapa komponen di dalam slide ni so that you are aware, okay, apa benda yang patut kamu nak kena standby when it comes to literature review. Okay, citation. So ini ialah teknik nak citing. Okay, yang paling common sekali yang kita pakai ialah APA. Ini bukan apalah, okay, American Psychological Association. So if you go through the Google Scholar, whenever you find articles, dia ada button cite sini. So Google Scholar akan siap-siap bagi 5 format. Okay, yang kita nak pakai yang ni lah, APA lah. Okay, dalam UUM punya thesis writing pun memang kita gunakan APA. Okay, some university digunakan Chicago, ada yang gunakan Harvard. Okay, ada yang kalau jurnal, setengah jurnal, dia ada dia punya own format. They come up with their own format dan kita kena ikut lah. Okay, tapi yang the most popular one is APA lah. Okay, so we stick with APA. So when you do your own references, dekat bahagian bibliografi, bahagian your thesis tu, okay, so for example, if you go through the, inilah mana-mana thesis, okay, dekat bahagian muka surat, apa tu, muka surat terakhir nanti, dia mesti ada dia punya references. So the format of your references mesti ikut format APA. Okay. The American Psychological inilah Association tadi tu mesti ikut kaedah APA. So it's very simple lah. When if you find the article from Google Scholar, okay, you click on the side button, you can get already dia punya APA format. Okay, ini yang how you put dalam your bibliografi ataupun your references dekat bahagian hujung thesis kamu. Ini bukan dalam, but when you want to include the author's name inside your article, ini bukan gunakan Google Scholar. Yang ni kamu kena tahulah. Yang penting tahu nama bapa dia. What are the surname? Okay, and then the different writing style. Okay, I will show you lah dalam pada kelas yang akan datang. Okay, so where in the side button that indicates the surname. Surname biasanya adalah nama yang pertama keluar lah. Yang dalam yang the name yang keluar kat depan ni ialah nama bapa lah. Mustafa, okay, Abdul Rashid. Okay, kalau kita ambil yang author bukan apa macam ni lah, macam yang bukan orang Malaysia ni, for example like this one. Okay, May, okay, will be the surname. Okay, dan inilah KHNG ni, the surname. Chang, okay, HSU. So these three are the, ni 3 author, ni surname author pertama, ni, ini ialah surname author kedua, ini ialah surname author ketiga. Okay, so these are things that you need to be really, I'm really particular on the writing, the technique dalam citing articles. Okay, so when you want to cite the author's name di dalam your text, okay, make sure that you cite the author's name properly, because ini yang very common mistake, student memang tak ambil berat. Okay, so bila markah rendah, nanti baru nak complain kenapa rendah. Okay, so I want to remind, okay, early on lah. So when you start writing your, when you start even writing your background, okay, when I say that you need to include 2-3 paper yang terkini. So that is also already you need to pay attention to the citing technique lah bila kamu nak cite article. Okay, when you want to do your citation, okay, you want to masukkan 2-3 authors, 2-3 paper dalam kamu punya background. So how do you mention the author's name? Okay, so the surname lah, nama bapa dia tu. Okay, so again, please take note lah benda-benda macam ni. And now it's very simple. Bila kamu dah ada gunakan ChatGPT, okay, for example, you can just copy benda lah tadi ni. Okay, you can copy this thing. Okay, and you copy lah APA ni. Lepas tu paste lah dalam chat box tu. You paste dalam chat box, suruhlah GPT tunjukkan, okay, create one sentence by citing the paper dalam that text. Okay, see how GPT tunjuk how you want to cite the author's name. Let GPT kelentong apa-apa ayat sekalipun, but your purpose, your intention is to see if this is your article yang kamu nak letak dalam teks, how do you cite the paper dalam teks tersebut. Okay, so untunglah kalau you all belajar sekarang zaman ada ChatGPT. Okay, 2-3 years ago GPT pun baru tak keluar lagi. Okay, it came out late 2022. Okay, so 2023 baru nak gain traction. Okay, now 2024 dah hujung tahun dah. So almost 2 years lah. 2 tahun dah, dekat 2 tahun. Okay, especially the last 1 year. Okay, this model of GPT-4 now 4.0. Okay, so banyak improvement from the early version GPT 3.5. So there's a lot of development dalam AI. So and one of the best things about AI ni is to help you writing lah, academic writing. Okay, maknanya benda-benda yang mungkin kamu tak tahu, sebelum ni kamu nak tanya kawan pun tak tahu. So you can let GPT tu help you lah, especially dalam benda-benda yang I mentioned just now. Okay, how to cite properly the author's name. Okay, so just any paper yang kamu rasa kamu nak pakai, that you want, but if you are unsure, how should the author's name appear di dalam text? So just copy and paste here and put that thing in ChatGPT and tell GPT, okay, come up with a short paragraph, okay, and in that paragraph, I want you to cite this paper lah di dalam perengan tersebut. Okay, gunakan inilah. So I want and let GPT do its magic lah. So please experiment this as well. Okay, don't wait for me to show everything. Okay, we don't have much time di dalam kelas sekalipun. Okay, so that is the technique. Okay, so the APA style, I think I don't want to go through this. You can already see dalam Google Scholar, okay, the different style APA, Harvard dan sebagainya. So last and but not least, plagiarism. So when you are doing literature review, okay, of course now dengan turning in semua tu kamu tahulah. Okay, I'm sure at semester number 5 sekarang, kebanyakan kamu semua semester 5, semester 7 dan 6 sebagainya. Okay, isu plagiarism ni bukan benda yang baru. Okay, now not just the normal plagiarism, but AI plagiarism. Because AI is considered part of ni lah, is ethical punya issue. Okay, so please, I allow you to have some degree of AI generated text, but not exceeding, I think, 30%, if I'm not mistaken. I mentioned 30 ke 40 ke apakah. Okay, please verify balik nanti kemudian. Okay, so I'll end our lecture for today. Okay, maybe I will continue another short video esok. Okay, I will post another video, and then we can see lah and then let me see whether, because time is actually against us. Okay, by Rabu ni nak kena cover how to teknik nak cite paper dan sebagainya. So I will update in our group WhatsApp, okay, whether you need to bring your laptop. At least one group, I want you to bring 1 ataupun 2 laptop lah. Bukan tablet, okay, laptop, proper laptop, because it's easy to actually do the research, okay, through laptop. Okay, kalau pakai tablet pun mesti yang ada keyboard lah, bukan yang on screen keyboard. Okay, so I will update later in our group WhatsApp. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you. Assalamualaikum and good day to everyone.